Has it been that time of the year again for you when you feel the passion for Star Wars? You can't stand people who do not respect 1v1s in Battlefront 2 and look for something different. Or maybe your wife finally allowed you to play that special 2 hours a day? Well, that's great, my friend, because in this video I'll tell you why exactly you should use that time in Star Wars The Old Republic. And there is no time like 2023 to actually start playing. Remember, the time you enjoy wasting is not a wasted time. The first question that probably goes through your head right now is this: but Chris, Star Wars The Old Republic, isn't this game dead already? Do not listen to whistleblowers. This game and many others, like World of Warcraft for example, have been dead or dying for years according to these people. If everyone thought this way, the MMO genre would cease to exist. The Old Republic is doing fine. At least for a 12-year-old game. There's always someone to play with, queues popping up real fast, and community center areas like the Fleet always have people roaming around. So what is this game all about? Glad you asked. This MMO, which really should be called an RPG with online elements, is a story-driven game. There are 8 original class stories, 4 for each faction, Sith Empire and the Republic/Jedi. Each story takes at the very least 30 hours to complete and is covered in engaging cutscenes. They are fully dubbed by voice actors, and you can see your characters speak and interact with NPCs throughout them. You'll always be given 2 or 3 choices on how to progress the story, but remember, your actions may have consequences in the end, so choose carefully. Best part of this is that all of this content I just spoke about is completely free. You can download the game now and play through 240 hours worth of content without spending a dime. Crazy, right? That's not all though. PvP was also made free in the beginning of 2023, so you can battle other players in war zones and arenas for absolutely no charge. Obviously, not every content in this game is like that, and for some of it, like raids, you would have to eventually subscribe, which I wholeheartedly encourage. But for someone like you, who just wants to see if SWTOR is a decent title, it's more than plenty to make up your mind. Okay, so let's break down some of the activities in this game, because there is a lot to do. So I already mentioned class stories that will take you through your leveling process all the way to the cap, which as of this video stands at level 80. Mostly you'll complete them solo, but you can also invite other players, for example your friends, to watch the story unfold together. I also talked a bit about PvP. But how does it really look? Well, it depends. If you're a casual or a hardcore PvPer. If it is the latter, you will not find much enjoyment in SWTOR, as ranked PvP was removed from the game at the end of last year. And there is no indication it's coming back anytime soon. But if you dabble in PvP sometimes, or do not care about rankings, you will actually fall in love in how the PvP works in this game. It is split between 2 modes, war zones and arenas. War zones are objective-oriented battlegrounds where 2 teams of 8 players try to outplay each other in order to capture, defend, or break through certain points in order to secure a win. Arenas, on the other hand, focus on 4v4 groups just trying to annihilate each other. What could be better? The combat is very fast-paced, with a heavy focus on accurate use of stun abilities and mindful targeting specific classes, such as healers or squishy DPS, to achieve victory. But maybe PvP is entirely not your thing, and you want to focus on fighting NPCs. Let's transition to a player versus environment then. In here we have a plethora of activities for you to partake in. First will be flashpoints, which are SWTOR's equivalents to dungeons. They come in 4 different modes: solo, story, veteran, and master. On the first 3, it doesn't really matter your group composition, as even the DPS can tank the bosses. On master mode, however, the group must consist of 1 tank, 2 DPS, and 1 healer. These instant missions also have stories behind them, and even separate quests leading to them, so there is plenty of extra time watching those cutscenes. Pro tip number 1. If you are in a group that wants to skip the cutscenes, don't be the one that doesn't. I have seen many people being kicked out of groups for that, and I don't want that to happen to you. If you want to watch cutscenes, try solo mode, as you do not have to be pressured by anyone else. Moving onwards are the uprisings, which are a short version of the flashpoint. These are also instanced and have somewhat interesting fights, but they were not updated for years, and are not very popular amongst the players. Might want to try them just for fun though, and if you're a completionist, go for it. Last, but definitely not least, are the operations, or raids, for the uninitiated. They come in 8 and 16-man versions and also 3 modes: Story, Veteran, and Master. The raids have a bit different dynamic than the flashpoints, and from a veteran difficulty you must bring specific composition in order to complete them. Generally, it requires 2 tanks, 4 DPS, and 2 healers. I said generally because some fights can be cheesed out by using 1 or 2 more DPS instead of the other roles. Pro tip number 2. Before you jump head straight into operations above the story level, please make sure you actually read up some tactics on bosses. It may save you from being kicked from the group. Operations are a fun group content that requires cooperation between members in order to secure a boss kill, and an instance clear for some of the best rewards in the game. But Chris, I don't like people, and would like to play solo. Well, in this game you can do that too. For introverts, SWTOR opens the door to an entirely different experience. I already mentioned the class quests, which are mostly solo, but there is so much more. Apart from the main story, on each planet awaits for you a separate storyline that is connected to that specific planet. You can learn more about the lore of each place, meet hidden, exciting characters, and play through many plots that can sidetrack you from the main progression. Apart from these, there are also tons of simple side quests, which are scattered all around the place, and some of them are really creative and engaging. As you go along, you'll also encounter heroic missions, which are meant for a group, but mostly are soloable with the help of a companion. Companions are your buddies that can help you immensely along your journey by tanking, DPSing your mobs, or healing you while you deal with your enemies. You will pick up companions on your storyline journey, so be sure to use them to your advantage. Some of them also have interesting quests to offer. By gaining influence with them, you can unlock more interactions. The current expansion is called Legacy of the Sith, with the story of Darth Malgus trying to uncover a mysterious power left by a long-forgotten Sith. We also have Mandalorian Civil War on the side, so there is plenty for everyone. The endgame this time around consists mostly of gearing up your character for a bunch of activities, such as operations, flashpoints, or solo player activities. You can choose which progression path is better for you. Some other features this game has to offer are daily areas with reputation tracks to go through, which unlock different rewards depending on the planet you're doing them on. The other cool feature is player housing, where you can decorate your strongholds however you like and display your achievements in the most amazing way possible. Your only limit is your imagination and the amount of hooks you can use. If you happen to have a guild, you can also have this amazing Star Destroyer as your guild hall, and I just think it's super cool. You may ask me then, at which point should I subscribe? Really, I cannot answer this for you, my friend. It is entirely your decision. If you got hooked by the game and can't stop playing it, I would do it straight away. But if your playtime is somewhat restricted, I would first enjoy the endless hours of story content, and then, if your schedule changes, to enjoy some endgame activities, you may want to consider subscribing to unlock full potential of this game. So what does a subscription unlocks exactly? First of all, you get 500 Cartel coins each month you stay subbed, which you can spend in the in-game cash shop. Don't worry, it's nothing like pay-to-win options, only cosmetics. You get access to operations and flashpoints with no restrictions. You can trade on gargantuous amount of money and do whatever you want. When we talk about money, however, yes, unfortunately, currently SWTOR has a big problem when it comes to inflation. You might find yourself wanting to buy something from the auction house, that sweet piece of armor you thought looked cool on your Sith warrior, but the price tag is way over your head as a beginner. Worry not, because as you progress, there are ways to earn you some cash, and BioWare already implemented some changes to battle that inflation. Time will tell if they will be successful on that front. You may also heard the rumor that this game is dying or entering a maintenance mode. Nothing further from the truth. Yes, BioWare recently passed SWTOR to other developer studio named Broadsword, which has a bit of a reputation of keeping the games under life support. But the game is not the only thing that is moving. Nearly 50 developers working on this title are going over to the new studio as well, which means there will be a continued effort to grow this game in the future years. It is very likely that at Broadsword, They could finally have the creative freedom they always wanted, and the game will get a second life. So, is this the game for you? You lose nothing by downloading it and trying it out for yourself. If you are a Star Wars fan, I can promise you that you will not regret it for sure. Currently, there is no other competition on the MMO front, unfortunately, so if you want to immerse yourself in this universe, SWTOR is the best option. Whether you play alone, with friends or strangers, this game has a lot to offer, and it would be unwise to not give it a try. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, as I post weekly Star Wars content. And as always, remember, there is always place for you in the Star Wars world. May the Force be with you.